What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. We're here as we are every single Friday night just to do a fantasy football Q&A, answer whatever questions you guys might have about waivers, trades, start sits, anything you got fantasy football related. Hell, it might not even be fantasy football related. You might just want to ask me any question that you got on your mind. I'm here to answer those questions for you here tonight. But I see we got a couple people in the chat already. I appreciate you guys who are here early. Appreciate you guys being in the chat ahead of time. You guys are really the GOATs. Speaking of the GOATs, we got George with the first question of the day. He says, do I trade Kyler, Monty, and Christian Kirk for Love and Kenneth Walker? Hesitant on moving Monty, but the upgrade to Love seems worth it. Look, man, the way that I view this is I would rather have Jordan Love than Kyler Murray in fantasy football. I think Monty and Kenneth Walker are very close. They are probably almost equal the rest of the way. Christian Kirk, to me, he is almost getting to the point where we are debating on whether or not we should be dropping him. He is a very minimal piece that I think you can throw into the trade. So do you do it? I think it's worth it. I think it is definitely worth the trade. So yes, I would go Jordan Love and Kenneth Walker. Jake, the Minnesota sports fan, you absolutely love to see it. He says, evening, and of course, Skull. Massive game this weekend. You know we got to hit a little Skull chant for y'all. He says, oh, and question, Chuba or Pollard for PPR this week. Plus, now with Cam being a Vike, would you pick him up? Cam Akers, that is, and do you see him doing much this weekend? Also wanted to say, plus, I'll be at the Lions and Vikings game. So, very jealous. That's going to be a very good game. I do think that Cam Akers is probably not worth picking up in redraft leagues yet. He is probably going to be a little bit involved this weekend, but I can't imagine he's super involved. But who knows? I mean, Aaron Jones is supposed to be likely to go. Ty Chandler's still going. There's going to be some rotation there for the running back position, but I don't think he's worth picking up in fantasy football, at least in redrafts right now. Now for the Chuba and the Pollard question, for me, when it comes down to a PPR league and who I am trying to trust this week, I'm just going to double check my rankings because I do think I have these guys fairly close. I have Chuba Hubbard right now as my running back 7 on the week. Tony Pollard is my running back 10. So I think both of these guys can be running back 1s here this week, but I would, if I had to make the selection between the two, go Chuba Hubbard's way. Have fun at that game this weekend, Jake. I'm very jealous. Jacob says JSN or Stevenson at the flex in half PPR. In half PPR this week with Ramondre Stevenson playing a game against who is he playing against? The Jacksonville Jaguars. I like that matchup for him. I think this is going to be a game where you can plug him in and play him. I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson here. He says also Skull. So we love to see all of the Skull chants in the chat right now, man. Just waiting for Josiah to hop in here and hit us with a Go Pack Go like he does every week. Raul says, I got some time before we head out for the night. Do you trust Amari right away? If not, should I start Mooney or DeMario 10-man full PPR? Here's the thing. I don't know if they're going to give Amari a full snap count this week. He's got to learn, a little bit of the plays. Obviously, he's going to be thrown out there. This is a guy where if I'm throwing him out into my lineup, I'm probably tempering the expectations. I probably would be trusting Darnell Mooney over a guy like Amari Cooper just this week. But I think that there's a chance they might try and get him in on some red zone touches. And if they get him in on the red zone, I mean, you could be looking at maybe Amari Cooper being there. So I do think that's definitely something to look into. But for me, Mooney, he's the play. Where are we at right now? Austin. Dynasty 12-team Superflex rebuild. Traded Marv for a late 25 first. Ladd, Pacheco, Addison. Then traded Addison and Pacheco 3/3 for Mahomes. Okay, Superflex rebuild. I traded Marv. I hate to see you trade Marv, but to get Mahomes in a Dynasty rebuild, I'll buy low on Mahomes all day. So I love that in a Superflex for you, Austin. Derek says, thoughts, 2 quarterback, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Goff, 4th, and DK, Dak, Rome, Aiden O'Connell, and a late second, 2 QB there. So I'm going to take... I think I'm going to take the DK, Dak, Rome, Aiden O'Connell in the late second side there, Derek. The Buddhist, Juju or Chubb in a tough spot right now. I would rather go Juju than Chubb this week. Jimothy, I traded away Amon-Ra and Laporta for Diggs and CMC. I'm 5-1 with Engram and Nico. How'd I do? I don't mind it, actually. I really don't. If CMC comes back in a couple weeks here and he's back to a full workload, that's a league-winning type of trade, so I don't mind it. Niner 415, full PPR, start 2. Juju Smith-Schuster at San Francisco, Chase Brown at Cleveland, Ty Chandler versus Detroit, George Pickens versus the Jets. I'm going to go with Chase Brown, and then I think I'm going to go with George Pickens and the Jets. So Chase and George for me this week. Legion, question, should I start Pollard, Walker, or Mixon? 2 running back league PPR. I'd be going with Pollard, and I'd be going with Mixon this week, putting Walker on the bench. And that sounds crazy, but that's a hell of a running back room. But Walker, he would be the one that I do not play this week. Niner says full PPR, start 1, running back, Tyrone Tracy versus Philadelphia, or Xavier Legette versus Washington. With Devin Singletary back, it makes it a little bit nerve-wracking, but I think I'm going to go Legette versus Washington, man. Legette is the play for me there. Ev, 1-5 in Dynasty League, PPR standard. I got Hurts and Purdy, JJ McCarthy in IR. Do I trade Hurts for a pick and wide receiver / running back? I got a pretty young core team. In a standard Dynasty right now, I probably would not. I'm assuming that this is a super flex league, and if it is a super flex league, having the 2 or 3 quarterbacks is what I was trying to do. Actually, you know what, Everett? If you're still in the chat with us, let me know, is this super flex? Because if it is super flex, I'm going to answer this quite differently. So let me know in the chat, Everett. Niner says standard scoring, start 2, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, George Pickens, and Demario Douglas. In standard scoring with no PPR, sheesh. I think T. Higgins is the play, and Jordan Addison might be the play. And Ev says not super flex. Okay, so yes, this is going to change the way that we look at this. So 1-5 in a Dynasty League, no super flex. I think you got to keep Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts has some upside in a 1 QB league that guys like Purdy and McCarthy don't have. Now, what I would potentially do is maybe you're trading Purdy. Maybe you're trying to get Purdy off the squad and you're going to get a wide receiver and a running back, or a wide receiver and a pick. I think Purdy is the guy that you move, but I would keep building around Jalen Hurts, and I'd have JJ McCarthy as your backup off the bench, because I think McCarthy can have similar type of production to a guy like Brock Purdy when he's healthy next year. So yes, definitely I would keep building around Jalen Hurts, but you can definitely move Brock Purdy right now, especially because Jalen Hurts is past his bye week. All right, Art says trade JT and Bijan for Saquon and Hunt. I don't mind it. I think Saquon and Hunt could have some more upside down the stretch. JT's injury is interesting, dude. They said it was very minimal, and now he's like just now continuing to not play. It makes me worried about him. But Hunt has Isaiah Pacheco coming back. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think JT and Bijan is safer than Saquon and Hunt's side, but it's close. It's close. Romeo says half PPR, start 1, Douglas, Wandell, Lockett, Gibson. I would rather go with Douglas this week. Michael says, who would you rather have in Dynasty going forward, Pickens and Najee, or Montgomery and Tyrone Tracy? I would rather have Pickens and Najee moving forward in Dynasty. Jake says, also for wide receiver, flex, and full PPR since Jerome Ford is out, which one of these 3 would you choose? Wandell, Etienne, or Shakir? I would go with Wandell there. Or Dearness Johnson, I'd still go with Wandell. Raul says, Connor, Madison, Najee, Bucky Irving, pick 3, full PPR. We're going to go with think I'm going to go with Connor, Najee, and Bucky in a full PPR. Romeo says, should I trade Rico Dowdle and Douglas for Jameson Williams? I like that trade for you. I would go get Jameson Williams. Matt says, are either of Kupp / Hawkinson playing this week? They're still questionable. It actually sounds a little bit more like Hawkinson is trending towards not playing, but they're still both questionable. We really won't know anything until probably tomorrow, maybe even Sunday, before the game. So we're still keeping an eye out for those guys. Luke with a super chat. Appreciate you, Luke. Luke says, what's up, man? Would you flex Jacobs, JSN, or BTJ in a PPR? I would be going with Josh Jacobs this week. He would be the guy that I am flexing in that. So appreciate the super chat. As always, folks, if you want to skip the line, a super chat is the best way to do that. You throw a super chat in there, it gets pulled up on the screen almost instantly. So that is the best way to skip the line. Let's see where we were at. Anthony says, pick 2, Chase Brown versus Cleveland, Hunt versus San Francisco, Bigsby versus New England. I'm going Chase Brown and Hunt for the 2. Romeo says, start 1, Douglas, Wandale, Lockett, Gibson, Tracy. We're going with, I think we just answered this one. Did we not just answer this one a little bit ago? Yeah, we answered that one. He said start 1, so yeah, it doesn't change. Ronnie says, evening, man. Cousins, Stroud, or Geno. Also need 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. So let's answer the first question here. Cousins, Stroud, or Geno. For me this week in my rankings right now, the way that I have these guys ranked is Geno currently is my quarterback 9. Stroud is my quarterback 12. And who's our other guy that we're talking about? Cousins. Cousins is my quarterback 10. So I guess for me, I'm going with Geno Smith right now. Now with the 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex, Cook, Monty, Dobbins, Bigsby, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Higgins, JSN. So for me, it's going to be the 2 wide receivers. It's pretty easy. It's Amon-Ra and A.J. Brown. For the 2 running backs, I'm going to go with Montgomery and James Cook. And then for the flex, I'm going to go with Higgins in a full PPR. Start 2, full PPR, half-point tight end premium. You got Cooper, Kraft, Bigsby, J-Mo, Shakir, Dobbs, Douglas. I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to go with Demario Douglas and Jameson Williams there. Froggy says... Brian Robinson Jr. or Chase Brown for starting, and also which one should I trade away or keep? I would go Brian Robinson over Chase Brown. I would trade away Chase Brown and keep Brian Robinson. Super chat in here from Slash with the $5. Appreciate you, bro. He says 12 team. My wide receiver room is CD, Nico, Kupp, Rome, Waddle, Kirk. My best running back is James Cook, and I have handcuffs. I want an elite RB. Who would you trade / package? Okay, so we want to move some of these folks for a running back. I think if you want to go get one, you're probably going to have to hold on to CD and Nico. You're probably moving Kupp, honestly. You're probably going to have to move Kupp after he comes back. It's going to be a week or 2 until I think he goes out and gives you that 20-30 point game. But once he does give you that, I think if you can move Kupp to go get an elite running back, that's something that I would do. Some possible running backs that I would say are trade candidates for me, at least, for the end of season schedules. They have good fantasy playoff schedules. It's going to be guys like Tony Pollard. His end of season schedule is really nice. And James Conner also has a really nice playoff schedule as well. So does Breece Hall. So if people are still panicked on Breece, he has a good end of season schedule. So those would be some trade targets. And then I think you have to move Kupp. And probably maybe even one of those guys, Waddle or Rome, with him to go get a guy like Breece or something. So that's what I would be doing. Where are we at? Mega says, I have Mark Andrews as a tight end and Lamar as a quarterback. I don't trust Andrews from what I've seen the Ravens doing this year. What pivot moves do you suggest? Well, to be honest, Andrews has kind of started to look a little bit better over the last couple weeks. So I'm not saying that he's going to get back to top production, but we might be starting to see him get a little bit more involved right now. So I want to see what he does this week. If you're looking for pivot options, I think a tight end that's still flying under the radar that has quite a bit of upside is Jake Ferguson. If you can maybe move Andrews for Ferguson or do something like that, I would probably go try and grab him as a tight end. Austin says, start one, full PPR, Pickens, Kirk, or Wandell. Full PPR, I kind of want to go with Wandell Robinson. Anthony says Mason versus KC or Hunt versus San Francisco. I'm going to go with Hunt in this matchup. I don't like the matchup versus Kansas City. They are a really good run defense. Matt says full PPR, start 2 running backs and 2 flex. Gibbs, Jordan Mason, Joe Mixon, Kareem Hunt, JSN, Cup. So assuming everybody's healthy, we're going to go with Gibbs, Mixon, Cup, and probably Hunt in that matchup. So those would be the 4 for me. Marcy, full PPR, 10-man, actually 10 women. You love to see it. With Jonathan Taylor ruled out, do I use Najee, Tracy, or Bucky to fill his spot? So with him out, I would probably be going with Najee Harris to fill his spot. Kareem Hunt or James Conner this week? I like Kareem Hunt this week. Purdy or Jalen Hurts? I like Jalen Hurts. 10-team 1 QB. Here he goes. 10-team 1 QB. Is it wild I am dropping Kyler Fields for Baker Caleb? It's not wild, but I probably don't think you need to drop both. I would probably keep Kyler and then I would pick up Baker, but I don't know. You can do both if you want. They've been outscoring Kyler and Fields, so I don't mind it. Marcy says, also have a flex spot to fill. Tracy, Bucky, Downs, Mooney, Juju, or Kirk. I'm going to go with Mooney in there as well, especially because you said it's full PPR, so Mooney's going to be the play for me. Austin says, start 1, full PPR, Juju, Addison, Kirk, Waddle, Douglas. Start 1, give me Jordan Addison. Sabrina says, Laporta or Njoku, then Chargers or Bengals defense. I feel like Bengals D could be a trap. I would be going with Laporta, and then Chargers or Bengals defense. I kind of do like the Chargers defense this week. I think I might play the Chargers defense this week. Sleepers says full PPR, start 2, Christian Kirk, Demario Douglas, Ladd McConkey. With starting 2, we're going to go Demario Douglas, and I think you go Ladd McConkey. Raul says pick 'em. You went 3 of 4 last week. Pats at Jags, Miami at Indy, and New York at Pittsburgh. Okay, 3 of 4 last week's not bad. Let's go and do this again real quick, Raul. I'm gonna pull up ESPN. In a pick'em. So for the Pittsburgh and the Jets game, I think I'm gonna go with the Jets in that game. Miami at Indy, I like Indy, and Pats at Jags, I like the Jags. So I'm going Jags, Indy, and the Jets there for you, Raul, this week. Hopefully we can go 3 of 3. Austin says sit 1, full PBR. Mason, Jacobs, Chase Brown. We're sitting Chase Brown. Jake says, also with Jacoby being doubtful, which of these 3 would you recommend? Braylon Allen or Gabe Davis? I would rather go with Gabe Davis than Braylon Allen right now. Where are we at? Right here. X says, do I trade J.K. Dobbins away for Pacheco? I'm 5-1. No, I'd rather have J.K. Dobbins. Anthony says, for the Saints, what position are you trying out for tomorrow? Yeah, I'm gonna be trying out for what was I going to try out for? I was trying to figure out what I was going to try out for. I was either going to go wide receiver, or I was going to go free safety, but I don't know if I can hit the boomstick the way that these defensive players can. So I think I'll just play wide receiver, and then that's the way it's going to go. Anthony, what are you going to do? Raul with the super chat. He says, thank you, you the GOAT, as always. Appreciate you, Raul. You the GOAT, as always, as well, for always being supportive. So I thank you for that. Caleb says, best up-and-coming YouTuber. Heard it here first. Caleb also is an up-and-coming YouTuber, so go check him out if you haven't already. But I appreciate you, Caleb. You are the GOAT. Everybody's the GOAT in here, man. You all are the GOATs, so appreciate you. So it looks like we're caught up, man. We're caught up on the questions so far. I see we just got a couple from Froggy. But if you guys are here so far, we're about 20 minutes in. We go for about an hour on Friday nights. So if you keep having questions, throw them in the chat. I will use the entire hour if we have it, and we'll go all the way. So keep throwing those questions in there, and we'll get right back at it. Anthony says safety / nickel slot DB. I like it, bro. I guess we're going to have to go one-on-one in tryouts, in practice. We're going to have to go one-on-one. Froggy says, I have Hurts, Brian Robinson Jr., Kenneth Walker, Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Dallas Goedert, Joe Mixon, Broncos defense, and Austin Seibert on my starting lineup and on my bench. I have Purdy, Vikings D, Tucker Kraft, Chase Brown, Cole Kmet, Austin Eckler, Jacoby, and on my IR I have Cooper Kupp. What do you think the holes are on my team, and who should I trade for? Okay, these questions are always very interesting. So I got to now go back and actually look at the team now that I know what the question is. So quarterback-wise, you feel fine with Jalen Hurts. I don't think you need to do anything there. I don't really know if you need to be rostering 2 defenses, but I understand it. You might be able to just roll with the Vikings D the rest of the way, though. Maybe the Broncos, too. I mean, they're both good. I get it. Joe Mixon is a good running back. McLaurin, Chase, Kenneth Walker. I mean, dude, the team is good. I guess really where I would say you could potentially fill in is just keep adding more depth, maybe some more running back depth off of the waiver wire when it comes available. But I don't really feel like you need to trade for anybody. I'd be surprised if you had a losing record. This feels like a team that is probably doing pretty well in your league. So I don't really know if I even have suggestions for you. The roster is just damn good. By the way, who do you have in Lions, Vikes, and Texans, Packers? Man, my damn heart, is rooting for the Vikings, but I think this is the toughest test we've faced so far. Look, you're not going to catch me on camera, especially not when Johnny Detroit is looking around here saying that I think the Lions are going to win. The Vikings are going to win, bro. So my heart and soul is in that one, but you guys know that's probably a biased pick as well. For the Texans and the Packers, I think Houston's going to get them, man. I think Houston's going to get Green Bay. Matt says, rate the trade. I'm a contender that received Joe Mixon and TJ Hawk. I sent a rebuilder a 26 first and 2 25 seconds, non-tight end premium, but full PPR. I love the trade. I love the trade for you, Mixon and Hawk. They should be good down the stretch there. Mega says, start 3 this week. Najee, Hunt, Connor, Downs, P. Ryan, Whittington. I'm going to go Connor, Hunt, Najee there as well. Sabrina says, sorry, I got another question for my flex. Don't apologize for the questions. We love the questions. That's what I'm here for. Tank Bigsby or Chase Brown? I have Bigsby right now. I think I would go Chase Brown over Tank Bigsby at the moment. Slash says, thoughts on Nick Chubb? I think he's going to be all right, man. I think he's going to be fine. He's probably not going to get a ton of work this weekend. I got caught up in the hype earlier in the week. If you were watching the BDGE channel, you probably know that I was going crazy for Nick Chubb. I want to root for the guy so bad. it's such a good story. I just want to root for him. But I do think he'll have better days, maybe just not this week. Johnny, I knew your ass was lurking in there. I knew you were in here. See, I told you were in here. Now, let's see. Caleb says, Andrew's arm is like JJ's. No accuracy unless it's versus OSU. That's crazy. That's crazy because I didn't even say I was playing quarterback. I said I was playing wide receiver. So I just know that Anthony's not going to be able to lock me up. I'm just Nick says, appreciated, Andrew. Dynasty Superflex, PPR, 10 team, start 11, half point tight end premium. I'm 3-3. Should I trade my first for Ayuk and Achane? Hell yes. Hell yes. Ayuk and Achane, those are 2 incredible buy lows. If you can sell 1 first for those 2 together, I love it. Anthony says, is Swift for real? What package would you do with Mason? I am trying to sell Swift right now. He's had some pretty easy matchups. The matchups get quite difficult in the fantasy football playoffs. He's a guy that I'd definitely be selling. What package would you do with Mason to go get Swift? I would not be trading for Swift. I'd be trading away. So, yeah, I wouldn't be trading for him at the moment. Holding shitty Mayer in Dynasty when I'd rather stash Rasheen Ali or some random. Curious your opinion. I'd still probably rather hold Mayer, but I understand if you don't want to. But the running backs, they come and they go so quickly that I'd probably still just rather stash Mayer. Anthony says Vikes will be fine. Detroit lost two significant defensive rushers. Hold the rush pressure, and Darnold will throw dimes. Jettas and Addison both 100 yards and a touchdown each. I mean, look, Johnny's probably still grieving. We don't need to talk about the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, that was not, you don't want to see that happen. I'm not sitting here trying to victory lap anything like that. Like, I want y'all to know that I would not root for that. I think Aiden Hutchinson was going to win the defensive rookie of the year, or not rookie of the year, defensive player of the year. But yeah, man, those are big losses. They definitely make it a little bit easier when you don't have Aiden Hutchinson destroying that side of your line. So I agree with you, Anthony. Ram says Dynasty full PPR 1.75. For tight ends, Superflex, start 11, 12 team. I'm 4-8. Lined up as Kyler, Caleb, J Hill, Jaleel. What moves do you think I should make? I mean, it seems like you're a decent team. 4-8. I don't know where you're getting your losses from. Maybe they're opponents or maybe they're the median. But you're really light at running back, and that's probably why you're not winning. But at 4-8, I don't know if right now is where you want to go buy running backs. So I think you can keep building around Rome, Ladd, T, McBride, Hawk, Reed. Like, these are all great pieces. Rice and Polk. You can keep building around all of those guys. My only suggestion maybe is tier down from Kyler Murray. One move that I keep suggesting people do at the moment is tearing down from Kyler to either a guy like Drake May and maybe get a first thrown in, or go from Kyler to JJ McCarthy and get a first thrown in. If you can get those thrown in, I'd do that as a tier down, but I don't mind holding Kyler as well. I think right now, obviously just the weak point of this roster is the running back. Crispy says, I got an offer for Yoshi for my Troy Franklin in Dynasty. Would you do the swap? I'm still holding out hope for Troy Franklin, and I think he showed signs of life this week, so I'd rather have Troy than Yoshi right now. Matt says, how we feeling about Bo Nix in Dynasty? Seems like the rushing upside is there, but has struggled passing. What you think? I think you hit the nail on the head. He's going to have enough rushing upside that he's going to be decent enough. He very much feels like a somewhat slightly better Daniel Jones / Will Levis type of hybrid. I just think he's a guy that you'll maybe be able to play for a year or two because he has the rushing upside, but eventually he's going to get replaced. I don't think he's the franchise guy for the Broncos. So if you can move him, move him. If not, whatever. Where are we at? I'm just Nick says, appreciate it. Renee says, I got CJ Stroud, Josh Jacobs, Tanks, Bigsby, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Brock Bowers, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel on my bench. Should I take Tank Dell out and Deebo in? Probably, because you already have Stephon Diggs in the lineup, so you already have a little bit of that Houston offense. I think Dell and Deebo, they're going to have similar-ish weeks. You just get a different offense, so I don't mind it at all. Mervin says, should I bench Evans over Addison? No, I would play Mike Evans over Addison. Richie says, flex Wandell or Ladd this week. Been loving the streams, by the way. I appreciate you, Richie. I would go Wandell over Ladd. Charlie says, appreciate you. Same logic with the salute. Claxton says, start one, full PPR, Andrews, Ertz, Schultz. I kind of like Ertz against Carolina this week. I'm flexing him as well, but yeah, I think I'd probably go with him. Christian says, gotta trade where I receive Brian Thomas and Jerome Ford for Laporta and Bucky Irving. Problem is that I'm weak as F at running back. Do I take it? So you got Brian Thomas and Jerome Ford for Laporta and Bucky Irving. If you're weak at running back, I'm probably not doing that because I think Jerome Ford is going to... I dropped Jerome Ford in my league. I don't think Jerome Ford is worth a damn right now. So I dropped him, and I'd rather have Bucky Irving and Laporta. You can move Laporta for a different player, but I'd rather have Bucky Irving if you're weak at running back. Element says, what's up, Element? How you doing? Mega says, I'm an all-in contender now, but I have 2 late first-round picks. What should I flip them both for? I mean, shoot, it's going to depend on the market of your league. But if you're trying to, I don't know if I would try and flip them both for one thing, unless you can get a team that's trying to tank and they're willing to give you a younger stud for 2 firsts. But I think just trying to go get vets, guys like Christian McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, Joe Mixon, these types of older veterans that people might be looking to sell for first round picks as a contender, those guys can help you win championships. So those would be pieces that I'm looking to go get. Kang says, if you could only start one this week, who would you start between Adams, Wilson, or Hall? If you could only start one this week, I'm going to start Breece Hall. Element says, Wan'Dale Robinson, Marvin Harrison Jr. if he plays, or Jacobs for the flex. I'm going Josh Jacobs. What is Josh Downs' value? Buy, sell? I think he is probably... I mean, in redraft, to me, he's a sell in a redraft league. In a dynasty, I'm willing to buy him right now. But he's, I think the biggest screaming sell in dynasty for that Colts is Michael Pittman. I'm selling the hell out of Michael Pittman if I can. Anthony says, Cortland Sutton loves his new QB, Bo Nix. Yeah, he absolutely loves him, and the 0 targets and the 0 yards and the 0 everythings he gets. VB says, what do you think about the dynasty trade in my 200 cap auction league, receiving Rome Odunze, who will cost $23 and 15 fab for Jameson Williams, who costs $1? I mean, I'd much rather have Rome Odunze. I'll be dead honest with you. I don't play much cap auction at all. So the dollars to me, you know, I understand that that's, you know, you only have a certain amount of cap space that you can use. So I get it. I don't know how detrimental it is to not have that much, but I'd much rather have Rome Odunze than Jameson Williams. So I get that. That's the side of the deal that I would go with. But I'm just being transparent. I don't play a bunch of cap auctions, so not super familiar with what those dollars mean. Austin says, full PPR, have Ingram as my tight end. Oh, I'm just reading the wrong ass one. What would you need in picks for Mahomes / Herbert / Dak in a rebuild superflex? Looking to move one. Well, if you're moving one of these guys, I'm moving Justin Herbert, and if I can get 2 firsts for Justin Herbert, I'm probably getting off of him for 2 firsts at this point. It sounds light, but I just don't see them passing the football that much, and that's going to be with this new coaching staff permanently for a while. So, yeah, if I can get 2 firsts for Herbert and I have those as my quarterbacks, I'm willing to move and get off. Full PPR, I have Ingram as my tight end. Choose 2 to flex. Laporta, Leggett, Tracy, or Addison. I would go with Laporta and Addison. Mike says, who would you start in the flex? David Montgomery, Ayuk, Brian Thomas Jr., Eckler. If B-Rob is out, PPR. I would go with David Montgomery. Nervous about Bijan Algier timeshare? Not really. I think it's still fine. Like, I'm not super worried about Bijan. I think one thing that we do know that now, though, is Bijan Robinson is not... I don't think he's going to live up to the generational running back tag that we gave him coming into the NFL. And he's not Saquon. He's not Adrian Peterson. He's not those guys that we kind of compared him to. He's a very good running back at the NFL level, and in Dynasty, you can rely on him for a long time, I think. 2, 3, 4 years as a running back for your Dynasty squads. That's a long time for running backs. But, yeah, I'm not too nervous about him long term. Honestly, it probably ain't a bad thing that he's not getting used to death in that offense for his long-term health. Titan says, Ramondre, Wan'Dale, Juju, or Pop Douglas. I go Ramondre of all of those folks. Tank Bigsby or Tyler Goodson. Let me go with Bigsby. Juju or Watson at the flex. I'd go Juju. What makes you like Josh Jacobs better than Aaron Jones? It's just the fact that Aaron Jones right now is recovering from an injury that he's kind of been limited with this week. So I think that there's a chance that he doesn't get the full workload this week. And if that's the case, then I'd just rather have Josh Jacobs. Love or Cousins, full PPR. Give me Jordan Love. Wan'Dale, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ladd, and Douglas start 3. So basically, who are we sitting? I don't really have much faith in Marvin Harrison Jr. playing. I think there's a chance that this decision gets made for you. But if he does play, I think I'm going to sit Ladd and just play Marvin Harrison, Wan'Dale, and Douglas. Start Ramondre or Mason. I would rather go Mason if he's healthy. If Evans doesn't play, start Dell, Flowers, or Addison. I would rather go with Flowers. Also have Dobbs, Chubb, pick one. I'd rather go Dobbs. He says full PPR. Kyle Singer also says like, guys. Come on, everyone like the channel. Everybody give this man a thumbs up. I appreciate you, Kyle. Also, he's going to war against y'all, so I appreciate you, Kyle. That is real GOAT-like behavior right there. Ronald says James Cook or D-Mont rest of season. I'd rather have D-Mont. Matt Higgins says, I feel like I may have missed the timing on this, but should I be selling Jordan Mason in Dynasty? Yeah, you're probably a tiny bit late, but yes, he is a sell in Dynasty. And I'd say if you can get any future second, whether it be 25 or 2026, if you can get any future second in the next 2 years for him, I'd sell him for a single second. Kyle says Mason is off the injury report. He's a full go. That's what you like to see. What else we got down here? Nathan says pick one running back and one flex, half PPR. You got James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, Cooper Kupp. So if Cooper Kupp is healthy, I would go with Cooper Kupp. And I think Kareem Hunt this week. Renee says Watson or Reed from Green Bay. I would rather go with Reed. Full PPR start to Moss, Whittington, Dobbs, Josh Palmer. This one's a little bit tougher. I think I'm going Whittington and Dobbs there. Montgomery, the most undervalued running back each year, worries me for all my Gibbs shares. Yeah, I mean, look, Gibbs and Monty are always going to be a 1-2 punch. They're both low-end RB1s every week. Like, that just feels like what they are. If you ever felt like Gibbs was going to be a top 5 guy, I don't know if he's ever going to be a top 5 guy. But they complement each other so well. Montgomery's so undervalued. And he just got the new contract too, so you love to see it. Eckler or Madison? I like Madison. Is this the Wan'Dale Robinson Q&A? Wan'Dale paid me $25 to be here. Yeah, dude, we're getting a lot of Wan'Dale questions. So, you know, every week I feel like there's like a certain somebody that everybody has a question about. Right now, I guess it's Wan'Dale. Chavoy says, with Cook a full go in practice today, where do you have him ranked in comparison to Tank Bigsby? I would have James Cook over Tank Bigsby. Void says, do you think Josh Jacobs will be better overall running back this year than Aaron Jones? They're kind of the same tier for me, but I trust Josh Jacobs' body more than I trust Aaron Jones' body. So I think I would rather, if I had to pick one of the two, they're very close, but I would just rather have Josh Jacobs. All right, so now that's another 20 minutes, folks. We just got another 20 minutes of questions in. We got 20 minutes left in today's stream. So if you still got questions, you're still watching. I see we got like 41 something people in here right now. That like button counter is at 25. So if you're watching and you haven't hit the like button, go hit that like button. Would like to see that number go up to 30 or something like that, at least in the next couple minutes. That would be dope. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm not telling you what you got to do. I'm just saying if you appreciate the content, you like the content, maybe hit the like button. That's what that's for. Matt, he says, how do you feel about the Bears wide receivers moving forward? Caleb has started to look better. I'm curious what you think about the wide receiver room, though. I think this year it's going to be very hard to pick which one is going to have a good game in comparison to the others. It's going to be probably a mix of all of them this year, but I think long term, if you're looking at it for the future, I don't know if Keenan Allen gets another contract to be here after this year. He might just hit free agency and go try and chase a Super Bowl. So I think long term, you obviously want Rome. That's why they drafted him, and DJ Moore got the contract. But Keenan's going to be a pain in the ass this year with them. Anthony, he says, do I start Wan'Dale Robinson or Wan'Dale Robinson? I think he probably should start Wan'Dale Robinson. Do you think Kamara will stay a top 5 running back this year? I mean, he's the whole offense right now, man. He is the whole offense, and I'm looking at his upcoming schedule for Alvin Kamara. He's got a tougher matchup next week against Los Angeles, but really it doesn't matter for tough matchups because he's so utilized in the receiving game that he just ends up getting points through the air. So you get Los Angeles next week. You got Carolina the week after. He's going to demolish Carolina. Then you got Atlanta. Like, he's going to have another. He's just going to be good all year long. He's going to be good all year long. And, yeah, I think he's going to be fine. Kyle says, hey, bro, appreciate what you do. I appreciate you, Kyle, for tuning in. He says, I have so many receivers. I have Neighbors starting for sure, but pick 3 out of Dell, Ayuk, Flowers, BTJ, and JMO. Okay. Pick 3 of them. I really have been trying to avoid Brandon Ayuk this week. I don't love the matchup for Brandon Ayuk. But if I'm looking at my rankings tell me that I got to start Zay Flowers. They tell me that I got to start probably Tank Dell. And it's between Ayuk and BTJ for me. I think I probably go with BTJ over Ayuk. I do not like the matchup for Ayuk this week. So I guess BTJ, Flowers, and Dell. Christian says, do you think Brian Thomas and Evan Engram for James Cook is a fair trade? Non-PPR 10-man. It's probably fair, assuming you can fill in that tight end position, but the tight end position is pretty easy to replace, so it's probably a fair trade if you need to go get the running back in James Cook. Anthony says sleeper wide receiver this week, Juju. I agree. He's definitely a sleeper. Super chat in here from Tom. Tom, appreciate the super chat. He says Eckler, Worthy, Cooper, Harris. Which 2 for the flex positions? So with this grouping of players, I think I'm going to go with Najee Harris and Amari Cooper. Those are going to be the 2 players that I go with in that grouping. Appreciate the super chat, Tom. Where are we at? Nick says redraft 10-team PPR Superflex start 11. Traded away Engram, Flowers, and Spears for Ayuk and Bowers. Thoughts? I understand it. I think it's actually probably a pretty fair trade. There's a chance that Bowers finishes as the tight end 1 this year. In fact, he would be who I put my money on. But Engram looked good back in the lineup. Flowers and Ayuk, they're probably a wash. Spears is going to be hurt. It's probably a fair trade. If you're trying to consolidate and you believe in Ayuk the rest of the year, I don't mind it at all. So, fair deal. I don't really prefer either side strongly over the other. So, that's how you know it's a good deal. Oscar says JT and Kamara or Monty, Dell, Pacheco, 12-team Superflex, half PPR, start 10 in a Dynasty. In a Dynasty, give me Monty, Dell, and Pacheco side over the JT and Kamara. That would be the side that I'd take. Now, if you're a contending roster and you think you can win the championship this year, that Kamara and the JT feels a little bit better, but Dynasty value long term, I think Monty, Dell, and Pacheco is a little bit better there. I am playing JSN over Ayuk this week. Atlanta weak against slot wide receivers. Yeah, and Kansas City just shuts down opposing number 1s, and Ayuk is going to get shut down, I think. Trade Kamara for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Josh Jacobs, or keep Kamara. I don't mind if you need the depth on the roster. I don't mind you going with the Marvin Harrison and the Josh Jacobs side, for sure. I think that's a fair enough side of the deal. Good evening, full PPR. Need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Ladd, Najee, Juju, Cooper, ETN, Tyron Tracy Jr. 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. I think I'm going to go with Juju and Najee. Should I start Jordan Mason and flex Kenneth Walker, or bench Mason and start Kenneth Walker, flex Pop Douglas, full PPR? I would be starting Jordan Mason and flexing Kenneth Walker. I'd be starting the 2 running backs. People are dropping Keon Coleman because of Amari Cooper. I think it helps Coleman, honestly. Yeah, in redraft, I think Coleman is droppable. I don't really care too much about him. It may help him, but at the end of the day, like, I still think Keon Coleman is going to work behind both Amari Cooper and Khalil Shakir in the offense. I mean, Coleman is not really out snapping guys like Mac Hollins. Like, he's struggling to play outside as much as Mac Hollins and MVS. And I know they cut MVS, but yeah, it's just, he's probably droppable until we see signs of life. But I agree, it could help him develop as a wide receiver. But in redraft, I just have no interest in a guy like Keon Coleman. Do the Lions make a move for D-end? If so, who do they target? I don't know. I've seen a lot of these, like, Max Crosby rumors at D-end for the Lions. I think that's a pipe dream. I don't necessarily believe that that's who they could target, but they could definitely make a move. I don't really know who they would go get, but I think it's smart for them to bring another veteran in if they can afford it. Trade Higgins and Laporta for Harrison Jr. and Ferguson. Wow. Harrison Jr. has been so disappointing as of late. I think there's a real argument that you're just going to go with the Higgins and Laporta side here. Johnny, the journeyman Clowney. Kyle Pitts or Cade Otton? Give me Kyle Pitts. Douglas or Wandell? Give me Douglas. On the rebuild, I traded Kirk and Brooks for Knicks and a 26 first. Still have Bucky, CMC, JMO, and Benson to move. I have 4 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 26 firsts. Is there any targets you like to trade with what I have? I traded Kirk and Brooks for Knicks and 26 firsts. I have Bucky. I mean, if you're rebuilding, I think you trade away CMC, man. Like, when he comes back and he starts putting up points, I think you trade him away. I wouldn't be holding CMC in a rebuild. And honestly, like, Bucky feels very much like he's not going to be a long shelf life either. I understand if you want to hold him for next year or something, just if Rashad gets sent out of town. But CMC is definitely a guy that I'd be moving off of in a rebuild. Luis says Josh Jacobs or Achane rest of season. I mean, if Tua is in the lineup, it's Achane the rest of the way, no doubt. But we don't know when he's going to be back. They said maybe week 8, maybe week 9. I think I'm going to gamble here, and I'm going to say I choose Achane the rest of the way. But it's close. I think it's Achane, though, the rest of the way. Tyler says, got offered Zach Moss for Wandell, half PPR. You got to take a shot. Where's Anthony? Anthony, you got to take a shot for every time we say Wandell. Got offered Zach Moss for Wandell, half PPR. Rosters Lamar. I mean, I'm not really too infatuated with a guy like Zach Moss. You got JT Chuba, Braylon. I mean, I get it. You don't really have a lot of running back depth, so I'm okay with you doing that, especially because you have AJ Brown, Debo, Mooney, Waddle. But I guess you got Tank. I'm assuming that's Tank Bigsby, maybe, not Tank Dell. Fuck it. I'm not trading for Zach Moss. Keep Wandell Robinson if that's Tank Bigsby. Simp traded Devontae Adams for Jonathan Taylor. Win. Your running backs are Saquon, Eckler, Tracy, Mostert, Braylon, and Brooks on IR. Wide receivers are AJ, London, Diggs, BTJ. I mean, showing what your wide receivers are, I mean, it makes sense why you make the deal. Jonathan Taylor's ankle's a little bit worrisome, but yeah, man. I mean, showing your wide receivers, it definitely makes sense why you make the deal. So yeah, probably a dub for you. Crispy says, tried to trade CMC before the season, but couldn't. Yeah, it's all good. Let people see him back in the lineup, man. Once he's back in the lineup and he's scoring points, which I think he will be back in the lineup and scoring points, people will want him, especially teams that are trying to make a run at a championship. So he'd definitely be a guy on the move after that. Tyler says, yeah, Bigsby. Yeah, so if it's Tank Bigsby, for sure, I would be keeping Wandell because you don't really need him. And says, thanks, bro. So no worries, man. All right, folks. Well, we are at about 10 minutes remaining, 9 minutes remaining, and I'm here to answer the rest of your questions. So if you have them, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We got 10 more minutes, and then I'm on out of here. I'm actually going to go see a movie with my wife, so we're going to go to the movie theater tonight. Tyler says, same guy trying to get Chuba for Zach Moss. That's insane. It's insane. Alrighty. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone right now. We just got some Ian Rappaport, but it looks like he's just posting pictures with him and his family, I guess. Why? Whatever. Cool. Big boy Sean says, if Marv don't play, start sit HN or Ayuk. Shit. I think I'd rather play HN over Ayuk right now. Flex BTJ or Tracy. Give me BTJ. Jacob says, how do you feel about Pollard in Dynasty? I'm not viewing him as much more than like a 1 or 2 year guy, but I like him as a contender this year. Johnny Detroit says, Kareem Hunt or Justin Herbert in the super flex spot. That's insane. I think there's an argument it's Kareem Hunt, though. What movie? I'm intrigued now. We're going to see a scary movie. We're going to see Smile 2 or whatever. We saw the first one. It's like a horror movie. We're going to see that one tonight, though. Renee says, is Deebo Samuel trade for HN fair or for Brian Robinson? Is Deebo Samuel trade for HN fair? I would probably rather have Deebo right now than either of those guys. But it's probably fair if you send it, but I would rather have Deebo. PPR 12-man, Chase Brown, or Juju in my last flex. I would probably go with Chase Brown over Juju this week. Johnny says, meet the Wandell Robinsons. This is too much. Super chat in here from It's Music says, traded Henry, Ayuk, JSN for Saquon, Amari Cooper, and Devontae Adams. Thoughts? Also, I was offered DK for Gibbs in another league. My wide receivers are AJ Downs, Xavier Worthy. So let's see. You traded Henry and Ayuk and JSN for Saquon, Cooper, and Adams. I mean, I love that. I love that for you. I think you rather have Saquon, Adams, and Cooper down the stretch. You were offered DK for Gibbs in another league. I think you can take that assuming you have running back depth. If you have running back depth and can afford to get rid of Gibbs, I understand why you'd want DK with Downs and Worthy being iffy. Jacob says, I heard that's a great movie. Well, hopefully, man. If we're paying money to go see it in the movie theater, it better be damn good. That's for sure. Especially when you count in the price for the damn popcorn and the other shit that you gotta buy as well. Like, god damn, shit's gonna cost me $50. It's all good though. I'm not tripping. Don't let my wife hear that. She wouldn't care. Full PPR, pick 3, HN Mostert, Bigsby, ETN, Irving, Pop Douglas, Chase Brown. Give me Chase, Pop. I think Chase, Pop, and HN is what I would go with. I got AJ Garrett, Mixon, Brees, Devontae Jacobs, DJ Moore, Ferguson, likely Hunter, Henry, Darnold, Richardson, currently 4-2, 10-man, full PPR. What are some moves you'd recommend? Okay, so just looking at the squad, you're pretty damn deep. Actually, you're pretty damn deep. I guess the only thing that I would maybe consider trying to get done is find yourself a little bit of a better quarterback, and I think you got some flexibility, especially at the wide receiver position. You got Wilson, AJ, DJ Moore, Devontae. I think you can offer one of your quarterbacks, maybe Richardson and DJ Moore, or Richardson and Garrett Wilson if you don't want to have both of the Jets receivers, and go upgrade to a top quarterback, hopefully. Says Zach Moss as well. My other running back in that league is Breece Hall. Not much depth in either wide receiver or running back. I mean, straight up in a bubble then, 1-for-1, I probably would rather have Gibbs if you don't have depth in either position. But, yeah, that's tough. But I think it's easier to stream the wide receiver position off of waivers. Oscar says team would be AR and Kyler at QB along with Brooks, Monty, Chubb, Pacheco, and running back. JJ, Garrett Wilson, CD, Puka, Dell at wide receiver. With that being said, would losing JT and Kamara be that bad? I mean, you wouldn't be great at running back. It's not that bad, but you wouldn't be great at. I wouldn't feel super comfortable with Pacheco, Chubb, and Brooks mixing with my Monty the rest of the way this year. Packers defense or Niners this week? I'd rather go Niners defense. Should I trade Chase for AJ Brown? Yeah, I think I would rather have AJ Brown than Jamar Chase right now. How are we feeling about Marvin Harrison playing this week? I'm still 50-50. It sounds like a cop-out, but we have seen a lot of these players who get concussions this year miss 1 week. That's just the way that we've kind of seen it happen. I would probably project him to miss, but who knows, man? I might try to trade Marvin Harrison and Goff for Caleb Williams and or Caleb Williams for Hurts. Kyler's my QB1, and I have depth at wide receiver. I have AJ Brown. I mean, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I like Hurts, man. And he said Stroud because I'm a Texas fan. I don't mind it. Jettas or Amon-Ra St. Brown this week? Probably Jettas, man. I'll tell you right now, Johnny. I have them. Jettas is my wide receiver 1 on the week in PPR. Amon-Ra is my wide receiver 3. Jamar Chase is right in between them, so they're both top 3 options. I mean, we knew this, though. All right, folks, final call here. We're going to call final call, and we'll get on out of here. So I'll go till we hit the bottom. Start 1, Michael Wilson, Jordan Whittington, or Trey Tucker, deep dino, third flex spot. I would probably go with – I like Jordan Whittington. I'd go Jordan Whittington if I have to. Should I trade Dobbins and Downs for Brian Washington Robinson? No, I think Dobbins and now you make me almost say Washington. Brian Robinson. I think Dobbins and Robinson are close to the same, so just give me the free Downs in with it. Thanks, bro. Enjoy the time with wife. Appreciate you, Oscar. Marv says Marv gonna be out and at the Travis Scott concert. Yeah, he's gonna pull a Neighbors. Pickens or Juju? Start sit. I'm going to go with George Pickens. And then last question here, Luis, he says Anthony Richardson or Sam Darnold this week. Everyone is mixed about it. People saying they'll both bust, but others are saying they're popping off this week. In my rankings here, Luis, I have Sam Darnold currently as my QB 11. Anthony Richardson is my QB 13. So I would be going with Sam Super Bowl Darnold. Super Bowl Sam. That's what I would be going with. So there you have it, folks. That is it for today. As always, if you watch today's video, you enjoy the content, you enjoy hanging out with me, you found something actionable, informative, entertaining, any of the above, you just like supporting the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all of that good YouTube stuff. Make sure that you're sticking around this weekend. We got Saturday stream tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, our episode of Let's Talk Dynasty. If you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, we are going to be redrafting the 2024 NFL rookie draft class. So we're going to redo the entire rookie class and draft it as if it started today. I'm sure there's going to be lots of hot, spicy takes, controversial stuff, lots of good stuff in that video. I'm very excited to do it. And also, Sunday, we have your usual start sit live stream. Going to be a little bit earlier than it usually is because it is the London game, but we're going to be up at the top of the morning We're going to be over there in London. We're not going to be in London, but we're going to be watching the game over there and doing some start sits in the morning. So with that being said, folks, I have nothing else for you today. As always, I'll see you on the next one. Till then, peace out.